we had a lot of lessons in there. We'd be sitting in the classroom and the siren would go and out we'd run across the playground into the air raid shelter and stay there until the all clear went. When I say the siren, it was a wailing whinny. It went woo, and this went on for several minutes and made sure you heard it. And then the all clear was a straight woo, and you knew it was safe, that the enemy aircraft had gone away. Yes, London was badly bombed, very badly bombed, during the early stages of the Blitz. But later on it wasn't quite so bad. And we ventured into London. And my mother had worked in the city, which is a square mile around St. Paul's. It's the city of London. The rest of London is the city of Westminster. But anyway, we went into the city, and she didn't recognize so many places that had come down, and she stood on the steps of St. Paul's. She couldn't believe it, that the view was so different with the buildings gone. When the schools reopened, of course, there were lots of children in school who weren't nearly as good as me in behavior-wise. And the thing was to go up to American soldiers and say, "Got any gum, chum?" and hope they'd give us some. Do you remember that? They'd come and ask for gum, and they'd be very sweet and give us gum. Although I wasn't allowed to speak to them, they gave it to me as well. Once schools had reopened, as I say, we had the shelters there and had to run into them in a hurry and keep safe. Then, eventually, the war ended. I don't remember a lot about it ending, except that we had street parties. Everybody in the street, they spread out tables down the middle of the street, and we all had lovely food that people had stored up. And we thought it was great, and there were games to play and things to do. And the war was over, and we were so glad and so thankful. Oh, I didn't mention about the declaration of war, but never mind. I could just go back to that, couldn't I? The Prime Minister at that time was Neville Chamberlain, and he was going to make a speech on this day, the 3rd of September. And not many people had radios at that time. And but my parents did. So a lot of the neighbours came in. And I can remember sitting in a big armchair with my little leggies stretched out in front of me. And the look on the neighbours' faces, they were so perturbed and so worried. And I didn't know what it was all about. They had this very solemn look. And that was it. Okay. Does anybody have any questions before we have tea? No? Good grief. Well, that surprises me. Okay, we're ready for tea.
I'm here.
Oh, good.
I can only carry one hot pot at a time.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for coming. I think I know nearly all of you. It's great, isn't it? That's a nice thing about living in Nashville. I find it's a very happy place to be. Tea and cookies, of course, were the traditional thing that you ate after, or when things went wrong. There was always tea. There were the WVS, the Women's Voluntary Service, and they would make big pots of tea and big urns of tea and serve them to people. And you all enjoyed those very much. And here it comes, oh my. There's one here, Judy. I don't think she's got a pot under there. Anyway, please enjoy. And thank you all for coming. I think it's great that you got here.